Hello, my name is Sumlina, and this is my presentation for coding and programming. Throughout this presentation, I'll be going over the topic, planning, development, coding, and final product of my project. This year's topic was to create a personal financial tracker, which users can input transactions and see their total balances, as well as other features like date filtering. Here are some features I implemented for my program. I use HTML input types like dates and numbers to collect data more easily. For searching and filtering, I implemented date inputs to specify custom date periods. I used Chart.js to display expense sources as a dynamic pie chart. I also included an option to export the transaction history and calculations as a CSV file. Here are some tools that I used to create my program. My programming languages were HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. My code IDE was Replit. Now for the final product. Here's what my program looks like. The user can input details about a transaction, such as date, category, amount, and additional description. After inputting the details, the numbers for the balance overview change to reflect the new transaction. As the user scrolls down, they can see a pie chart that documents their expense sources. Further down is the transaction history and filtering system. The user can customize the date period. Let's filter for February entries. The table updates to reflect the sorting. The user can delete and update individual entries. The user can also export all of this info as a CSV file. Now let's check out the code. My front end was developed using HTML and CSS. The HTML provided structure in the form of HTML models and forms, while the CSS provided the appearance. My back end used JavaScript. Let's take a look at the different sections of code. First, the backend collected input and data from the HTML models and forms using .getElementById, as well as setting up the pie chart, local storage, and transaction array. The transaction form event listener added a new transaction by pulling data using .getElementById and adding it to the transaction array. The Edit Transaction Form event listener allowed the user to edit transactions by manipulating the transaction array and pushing these changes to the front end. There were also additional event listeners for closing the model, filtering dates, and etc. The Render Transactions function showcased the transaction based on the custom date filtering. The Delete Transaction function directed the code to delete transactions using other helper functions. The Open Edit Model function displayed the transaction details within the model. The Close Model function closed the model upon clicking the X. The Update Expense Chart function updated the pie chart whenever a new expense was added or a certain date period was defined. The Update Balance Summary function updated the numbers for the balance overview. The Export Transactions to CSV function converted the data stored from local storage into a CSV file. Thank you for watching.